Hey, good morning to everybody. Happy Wednesday. It's Daryl here. It is not so bright and freaking early anymore. It's 7 a.m. here in Connecticut on the East Coast. Okay, I've mentioned this before. When I do a video, I don't just forget about the video after. I don't forget about what I talked about right after I'm done downloading it and the views start coming in. I don't just really move on to the next video. For the rest of the day, usually the thoughts, what I said in the video, and other things will percolate, kind of just stay in my mind and simmer for a while. And that's what happened yesterday when I did the video about Far From Weak, the YouTube channel. Like I said, I really want to make a point here that I'm not trying to beat up on this channel. I'm not looking at this channel because it has a lot of subscribers, got over 1 million subscribers, and some of the videos get over 1 million views. And I'm not just picking on this channel just to get views on my own channel. When I came across this channel, part of me got a feeling, I almost looked at this channel like it was a caricature of itself. Honestly, like it was almost a joke. I'm not saying that to be an ass or anything like that, but seriously. And part of me got a very uncomfortable feeling looking at it, and I'll talk about that more. But that's why I did the video yesterday. And I'll mention the couple things that came to mind. The more I thought about this, I only watched maybe 2 or 3 of the videos, so I'm not an expert on this channel. Like I said, I got a couple feelings on this. Like one of them was kind of like it almost seemed comical to me, and the other one was it seemed a bad feeling. So today I started thinking about this. There's something I saw in common, because I didn't talk much yesterday about what's his name, Andrew Tate and Nick Fuentes. But there's some things that remind me, and also Alex Jones and this channel, Far From Weak. And I thought about one thing they all have in common, besides for the manly rhetoric and whatnot. The thing that I noticed they all have in common is they all don't take responsibility. Like there's a bad guy for all 4 of those guys. Like with Andrew Tate, it's the Matrix. The Matrix is the evil thing. Whenever there's something that calls him out on or he gets in trouble, or there's something that, it's the evil entity that these people blame everything on. The reason, the dark side, the reason, the thing that's fighting against them. The thing that they can blame their things that they said or whatever on. Like I said, with Andrew Tate, it's the Matrix. With Nick Fuentes, it's the deep state. With Alex Jones, it's the deep state. And I noticed with Far From Weak, it's YouTube. I saw I saw more than 1, 2, 3 videos on there about how YouTube was trying to strike him down and all this other stuff. The one thing you won't see on my channel is I have the courage of my convictions. I take responsibility, right or wrong. I take responsibility for what I say here. I have been canceled. I've been demonetized on this very channel. They took away my monetization for 6 months and debated whether I was worthy of it. I got it back. I have been suspended on this very channel at least 3 or 4 times. And I don't blame anybody but myself. It's not some evil entity. Like I said, I have the courage of my convictions. Sometimes I'll say something, I'm wrong. Sometimes I'm just flat out wrong. But you'll never see me blame it on the deep state or the Matrix or whatever like that. This is something else I noticed. The bad feeling I got from this channel was I couldn't see any person. There's a person with Far From Weak. There's somebody giving advice. Very strong, confident advice. And I can't see what that person looks like. I can't see their history. I can't see their past. I can't see if they're actually following their own advice. This is who came to mind. Wes Watson. I don't know if he's a very popular, I'm sure if you watch these channels, you must have heard of Wes Watson, although he's nothing like Far From Weak or Alex Jones or anything like that. Let me give you a background. Wes Watson, he did time in a couple of penitentiaries, I think. He's been out for 10, 15 years, and he's completely turned his life around. And he's what I would call a multimillionaire now. He's got pictures of all his cars out there. But the difference between him and people like Andrew Tate is Wes Watson walks the walk and talks the talk and walks the walk. You look at him and you see somebody that believes 100% in what he's selling and what he's saying, the advice he's giving. And it's not just exercise. I mean, the guy is freaking huge, but he's also very organized, very regulated. He believes in what he's saying. And that's one thing I couldn't see with Far From Weak. I don't know. Like I said, I only watched a couple of videos, but that was one of the things that threw me off. Is because it was almost like a comical caricature voice, this manly voice, and then there was what was called an avatar, that was kind of representing him. So I can't see, like I said, with Wes Watson, you see the path he went. I mean, I could relate to Wes Watson, even though I've never been in jail, my past of addiction and how I turn my life around with exercise and working out. Now I have a regimen these days and I stick to it. It's motivation and dedication. And it's the same thing, I could totally relate to Wes Watson. With somebody like Wes Watson, I will believe, I will take his advice to heart. There's things that he says that I would implement in my own life. This is what I thought when I looked at the channel Far From Weak. I seriously, like yesterday, I asked myself this question, because I saw there's millions of viewers and subscribers. Would I take any advice from Far From Weak? In any of the videos and anything he says, would I seriously implement it in my life, change, some part of my life? Absolutely, positively not. Like I said, when I first looked at this channel, it almost looked like a caricature of itself, and I couldn't see the person behind this advice. And then I got an even worse feeling. I'll explain to you why. And it took me a while, over the last 24 hours, to kind of figure it out. It was the one video, and I don't know if he talks about this, or these person, whoever's behind Far From Weak, if they talk about this in other videos, but he mentioned hate. He mentioned hate specifically, and this is what bothered me. In the How to Beat Addiction video, he says that some people view hate as a negative emotion, and he says it's not negative emotion. It can be used if you bottle it up and keep it correct, keep it under control, which I don't believe you can. That it's a positive emotion. You could use it in positive ways, and I started thinking about that, and he gave like an example, a comparison. Yeah, he gave this example about, I'm sorry, I just had to skip in the video there. I had a little delay. Back to what I was talking about. He gave an example of weeds in a garden, like an invasive species that you pull weeds out of a garden. And that, it's not even a good example, because say you do pull weeds out of a garden, you don't hate the weeds. But then I really started thinking about this. I don't want to look too far into it. I'd be curious to see what the other videos in Far From Weak, if they do mention hate and this kind of this analogy. To be honest with you guys, I really started to wonder if there was a deeper meaning to this, like with the immigration situation now. With this analogy about weeds, an invasive species coming into an area and hating that invasive species and having it removed or killing it or whatever. Maybe it's me. I don't know if he mentions this in other videos, but I started to wonder if this was kind of a subliminal thing, and if it's mentioned in other videos. The bottom line here is if you do this, Google hate, or is hate actually fear? Just Google hate, and this is what it'll tell you. Hate is actually mistrust, insecurity, or fear. It stems from those things. It stems from fear, mistrust, or insecurity. So in this video, one of these Far From Weak's great piece of advice is to actually fear your addiction. When he says hate, that's, like I said, that's what hate is. Hate is fear, mistrust. It is not a positive emotion. And I don't believe that you could just, store it and this emotion and use it in a positive fashion here and there. It's a negative emotion. I think it takes its toll. In yesterday's video, I gave the example of acid eats whatever container it's put in. And I started to think a little deeper into that. I think about, well, what if somebody in the comments tries to, turn that around and says, well, what about a steel container? The person being steel and strong. The acid could be contained by somebody that is strong like steel. And I started to think about that. And acid does tend to eat metal. If that was the analogy you're going with, acid is usually held in glass containers, and glass is rigid and breakable. It's so rigid that it becomes breakable. So if the person is holding that, you see, I know I'm looking really too deep into this. The bottom line here is when I first started looking at these videos, by Far From Weak, there was just something that was all. It was a gut feeling. That's what it was. It was a gut feeling that, first of all, that I couldn't see. First of all, I thought it was partially comical, like a caricature of itself. With this voice and this what's it called? The comic, the person that they used to portray in this the emoji or whatever it's called. And I got a bad feeling because I couldn't see the person giving me this advice. Like I said, Wes Watson is a perfect example. You'll never see a video by Wes Watson. I'll put the links down below to Wes Watson if you've never seen his channel before. And you'll never see a video where he's blaming or angry at this bunch of people or that bunch of people or this entity or that entity, like YouTube or the deep state or the Matrix or this ridiculous stuff. You take responsibility. You have the courage of your convictions. You say what you say. You do what you do. And if anything goes bad, you own up to it. It's your fault. It's not somebody else's fault. It's not some entity's fault. It's not some platform's fault. It's your fault. Have the courage of your convictions. And whenever I see a channel like that, like Far From Weak or, like I said, Alex Jones, Nick Fuentes, or Andrew Tate, blaming all their problems on, it's all because if anything goes bad, it's because of this entity. You don't see me do that. You don't see people like Wes Watson do that. You take responsibility. And those are just some of the few things. I just got a bad feeling about this channel. Let me know what you think. I'll be back later with another video. You guys have a good Wednesday.